Welcome to Movie Film. It's episode 344. My name is Zaki Hassan. I'm here with Brian Hall.
Hey, how's it going, Zaki?
Hey, hanging in there. I am very much looking forward to the conversation we're about to have.
Me too. We've been waiting decades to have this conversation.
Feels like, I dare say, nearly 40 years.
Yeah, right.
But we'll talk about that in just a second. We got more pressing stuff in the front term.
Mm-hmm.
Like your continued journey through Widow's Bay.
Yeah, I mentioned that I'm enjoying Widow's Bay.
Since the last time we talked to now, I feel like this show has just like taken over social media.
Has it really?
So I feel like you got in on the front end here.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad that I brought it up when I did, because I have had people reach out to me and say that they started it and they are also enjoying it. And but this is such an interesting show. And for people who don't remember what I'm talking about, Widow's Bay is an Apple TV Plus series starring Matthew Rhys. And the log line on IMDb is: a skeptical mayor leads the superstitious residents of a cursed New England island. And a lot of times when you have these streaming series, they are one story that's introduced in the pilot, and that's the whole thread, right? For like 10 episodes. And sometimes it can feel like a little stretched out. And when I started this, there are spooky, mysterious things happening on this island. And it was one specific sort of thing, like maybe a haunted fog that was rolling into town in the pilot. And I was like, I'm enjoying this, but I'm not sure I want to watch 10 episodes about a haunted fog. And to my delight, every episode is a different horror trope.
Right. There
is a thread that goes through all of them with the mayor and all the characters. It's not an anthology series, but I just love that each episode you don't exactly know what trope they're going to play with. And when I say play, I mean exactly that. Like there are legitimate scares and spookiness and things happening in this, but it is very playful at the same time. It has this really not muted, but it's not an out-and-out comedy, but there are just big comedic moments that stem naturally from what's happening in each show and from the characters and what the characters are like. And it just feels like this tightrope of tone that they're walking. At the beginning, I was almost nervous starting each new episode because I was like, man, they've just nailed this every episode. And I'm like afraid they're going to fall off now, or even start an episode. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be interested in this. And then by the end, I'm always like, it just keeps getting better and better.
Nice.
And I had that experience even last night where I was like, oh, interesting. It's so hard because I don't want to spoil what these things are, because the fun is discovering what it is and how they play with that thing. But I will say there's an episode involving like a boat and having to go out a certain distance in the water with a certain person. I'll say that for anyone who knows what I'm talking about. I was like, this is so my jam. Like, this is so fun and funny and scary and weird and like creepy. It's just, and then I watched the most recent one, which was a little bit of a the movie Halloween sort of riff. And what made it so fun was you've got these tropey sort of things happening, of course, but it's through the lens of this really unique character on the show named Patricia, played by Kate O'Flynn, who is just a delight to watch every week. And I busted out laughing like twice, but that's what it is. It's not a comedy. It lures you in, and you're hoping that everything works out, and you're also leaning forward, but a little scared by certain sorts of things. But then they'll just hit you with these like unexpected moments that just make you, belly laugh. So anyway, I just wanted to shout it out again to the people who did start watching it and are enjoying it. Hi. And for the people who haven't yet, I recommend this. I mean, again, it's spooky. It's not so far as like some R-rated horror thing. I would say it's sort of like a hard PG-13-y sort of level of scary. And that still might not be some people's thing. But for people who think that sounds interesting and kind of fun and intriguing, I would say definitely check it out on Apple TV Plus.
Well, there we go. Your check is in the mail. I feel like you're single-handedly driving all the traffic.
Oh, well, I think that's probably true. I'm not going to verify.
One thing I've seen a lot of is people suddenly discovering what a great actor Stephen Root is.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah, no, he's been reliable for as long as I can remember. I mean,
That's right.
Even reliable is underselling it. I mean, he's just the secret sauce in so many things, right?
That's right.
Although I will say that I think the first time I ever saw him was probably Office Space.
Yeah,
right?
That would have been for you, right?
Yeah.
I saw him as the boss on News Radio.
Oh, okay, right.
Which was on at roughly the same time he was in Office Space. So that alone is a testament to his, ability to go from the big boss to the lowest,
yeah,
a cubicle jockey.
Yeah, my stapler.
That's right. Yeah.
One other thing I will mention, just because I'd kind of forgotten about this, but I have a friend works over at Paramount, and so occasionally they'll do these events. They'll do flashback screenings, and this past weekend they showed Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And I mention it because I just about a month ago,
You'd just seen it, right?
I just seen it. The Regal by my house, which does flashback series, they showed Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and I was talking about it on here and how much I loved it all over again. And me and my neighbor, the person I was sitting next to, I didn't even know, we were both like, man, that movie just completely holds up. What a blast all these years later still.
And then you watched it again this past week and you're like, wait a minute, this sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just going back and forth.
Well, it was sort of a social thing. It was going to be a group of friends. And I thought, well, I want to be there. I want to hang out with these people.
It's like an interactive screening, people throwing spoons at the screen and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, is that the room? Yeah, with the spoons. And anyway, so I went, and it was, before I even get into watching it again so close, it was pretty amazing, this thing they put on. As soon as you walked into their theater in the lobby, they had this big counter, basically circular counter that had all this candy on it, like Snickers bars, M&Ms, anything you could grab. And they've had that before, but what was unique was they had like signage. They had, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the title and quotes from it, like printed onto this counter. And I was like, wow, that's kind of amazing. And then as you walked in deeper, they had all these old tube televisions stacked into a pyramid playing Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. And then they had, popcorn and sodas and things like that. But they also had a hot dog cart. And I was like, oh, cool, hot dog. All right. But I walked up and they were Chicago style hot dogs, like legit. And with the Vienna beef dogs and everything. And I was like, wow. What? And so I don't know who planned it. I mean, obviously it would cost some money. And
you're like, I'll have one. And then the guy who gives it to you is Matthew Broderick.
Yes, exactly.
And then you wake up because the whole thing is...
it does sound like that, doesn't it? But I was just like blown away by this mid-afternoon flashback screening of Ferris Bueller, like how much they'd put into it. So just for that alone, I was like, wow, cool. Anyways, but then we sit down and I'm like, okay, I've just seen this, but I've seen this movie 100 times anyway, And dude, I got sucked right back in. I had to bring that up to say, like, this is just one of those, for me, like sort of miracle movies where like you just don't tire of it. Yeah. And it's just as funny. I was still laughing when he's pretending to be sick with his parents and, the me, like keep making all the funny noises when they're like checking his temperature and all that. And actually there was a woman sitting next to me who was laughing and gasping almost as if she had never seen it before.
Wow.
And that was really fun because then in a way you're sort of experiencing it through her eyes a little bit. And it's making like, oh yeah, that is kind of funny here. I haven't thought about this because I've seen it 100 times, but
yeah.
And, but anyway, yeah, I don't know. John Hughes just has that. So many of his movies, they are so rewatchable.
Yeah.
Home Alone. I mean, I've seen that movie countless times and I can't wait to watch it again, this year, later at Christmas time, and Planes, Trains and Automobiles. And I don't know. I don't want to dig into it now, but like, what is that? What is the secret sauce of that? Like, why are they so easily rewatchable? And something I've noticed now, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking Planes, Trains, Ferris Bueller, Home Alone, just those three. There are a lot of vignettes,
right?
It's like a compelling character. It's experiencing a series of things, And maybe there's something to that even. It's like these
Right.
little episodes they experience, but what he gets right is that all those episodes are very compelling.
Well, I think that the secret sauce is that they are wholesome comedies that aren't afraid to have an edge.
Yeah, that's a great
Um,
point.
and aren't afraid to show their heart, right? So in other words, you're sort like, to me, planes, trains, and automobiles, part of the reason it works is that you can have the scene where Dell is in the car talking to his, who we don't realize is his dead wife,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, it's not afraid to put that in there. You're like, no, this is a comedy. People aren't going to be laughing, you know?
Yep.
Um, you know, Home Alone gives you the old man Marley storyline,
Yes.
and that
Yes.
matters. Ferris Bueller gives you the Cameron and his dad story, and that's important, you know?
I completely agree. And funny enough, when I watched it a month ago, I think I was just watching it, like
Yeah.
looking at it because I'd seen it so many times and I was enjoying it. And I was enjoying looking at it on the big screen, seeing Chicago. I will never not marvel at that twist and shout parade sequence because
Yeah.
when it ends, you have that wide shot where it just, the street just goes on and on and on, and it is filled with people and life and activity. And it's just, I would probably put it in one of my favorite shots of all time. It's just an amazing sort of thing, right? Like where it's not filled in with volume or effects or replicating people, which is fine in certain uses these days. But like, you know what I mean? It's just so alive,
Right.
and yeah, okay. So what I was going to say then is I was just enjoying it kind of visually and laughing at it on a surface level. This time I really did track a lot with the emotions more than I have in years, following his sister's arc, which, like, oh yeah, he drives her crazy. And then by the end, she learns to loosen up. It's like, no, they do a good job of actually seeding why she feels this way.
Right.
And how it's kind of, imposed on her a lot. And
right.
Of course, the Cameron thing is like the big beating heart of the movie. And I really tracked with that this whole time. And it just resonated. You can sort of watch a movie you've seen a million times for the first time again when you put all your attention on it and let it, dive into it.
Put your phone away.
Yeah. But also I think what I thought you were going to say, which Planes, Trains, when you said in the car, there's that scene where John Candy, when they go between the two trucks, and
that's obviously the one of like my top 5 funniest scenes in any movie ever.
But what's so funny about it, and it is hilarious, but then for a split second, the two characters look like skeletons with their clothes on. Right? And then John Candy looks like the devil. and Steve Martin's looking at him like, what have I done? How did I get in the car with the devil? Yeah. And then in Ferris Bueller, for some reason, there's this magic in the air where every character is singing Dankeschön. Like there's a magical realism to it. And in Home Alone, there's the furnace. The furnace talks to Kevin.
Right.
Like I like that he's willing to go really silly, like Looney Tunes.
Right.
But he knows just how far to go, not too far. And then to your point, I think the real reason they ultimately stay with us and we want to keep watching them is, yes, we enjoy all the fun. That's what gets us through the movie. But the reason we want to watch it again is to experience the feelings that he provides.
See, what it sounds to me like you're saying is you have got his moves all figured out and you could do something comparable to any of John Hughes' best. That's my takeaway from what you're saying. You're saying I can do it as good or better as John Hughes. Unquote, Brian Holmes.
Yes. Let it be said. June 2026. But no, I immediately when you started saying that, the first thing I thought was, well, I can have a steak and I can have, butter and, pastry dough and all that stuff, but I can't make Gordon Ramsay's the beef Wellington. You know what I mean? Like
now I want to see the Brian Hall shot for shot remake, the Gus Van Sant Psycho, if you will, of Ferris Bueller.
That would be fascinating. That is one of those movies, excuse me, where I feel like I don't feel like you can remake that. You know, and I know we've said that about a lot of movies and then they've done it anyway. But like there is just that movie is such lightning in a bottle from just first of all, just Ferris. How do you cast Ferris again and not want to punch that guy in the face? You know what I mean? Like they calibrate for me. Maybe some people they are annoyed by him, but I just feel like Matthew Broderick, he is smug, but in this weird, charming way where you feel like you enjoy being with him.
I mean, it's funny that you talk about, you know, how do you not want to punch Ferris in the face, right? Because of course they did attempt to recast Ferris Bueller a few years later.
Yes.
Which, by the way, funniest joke of all time would have been if you went through that whole experience with the hot dog and going through the tunnel, if you will, to the theme park ride, and then it's just a marathon of Ferris Bueller the series.
right.
I think that would have been goddamn hilarious. But that show, to your point, like I happened to completely unconnected to this, like within the last 6 months, I saw a handful of episodes.
Really?
On YouTube, yeah.
Okay.
And it's funny because the Ferris Bueller the series, Charlie Schlatter played Ferris, and no more punchable character have I seen. You know, and I'm saying character, not actor, because I'm sure Charlie Schlatter is a lovely human being.
Yeah, right.
But the character he was given to play was absolutely insufferable, and the fact that they hung the name Ferris Bueller on it was like this added level of insult. You know, it, and I think you know this. It literally starts with him saying, "Oh, that movie about my life is all wrong." And then he pulls a standee of Ferris Bueller from the movie, played by Matthew Broderick, out of his closet. And he's like, Matthew Broderick, come on. And then he gets a chainsaw and cuts it in half. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you guys, stupid? You know?
I know.
That's like the most famous beat. But the show, it's because it premiered the same season, maybe even the same week as Parker Lewis Can't Lose on Fox, which that show was good, right? And that was clearly a Ferris Bueller ripoff.
Totally.
But you know, the show it had, you know, Jennifer Aniston plays
Jeannie,
and Richard Riley is Rooney. Like, and you can see that, right? Like, you can picture that. That's like the made for TV Ferris Bueller, you know?
Yeah.
But what I realized watching the show is that there's a reason there wasn't a whole Ferris Bueller's blank. Like there wasn't a whole series of those.
Yes.
Because we're meant to spend exactly this much time with this character.
Yes.
Right. And we just dip in, we go on this little journey with this character, and then we never see him again. That's the point. And the show, I mean, it didn't last very long, so they learned it quick. But I mean, it's for TV, they kept trying to do that, right? Because they did an Uncle Buck series.
Yeah, they've done a couple.
Yeah, Uncle Buck, which might have been right around the same time the Ferris Bueller show, and that show starts with, that's a sequel to the movie.
Okay, I remember, I can see it, but I don't remember.
Yeah, it has Kevin Meaney as Buck, and you know, the parents die.
Oh, jeez.
And so Buck has to adopt the kids. I'm like, what are you guys doing? It starts, oh, you know, the parents, you know how Buck, like, you know, rebuilds his relationship with the brother. Yeah, we're just they're dead now. You know.
Oh, man. Yeah. Leave John Hughes alone. If I learned it, you know what? I'm putting my pen down. I am.
Oh, so no shot for shot remake of Ferris Bueller from you. Okay.
No. Actually, that would be interesting though. Yeah. No, sorry. What were you gonna say?
No, that's it. Yeah.
Well, I have one more thing to talk about. And it is that I saw the movie Back Rooms. And this is kind of the sensation sweeping the nation at the moment.
That's right.
Did you see this coming? Because this is apparently a very well-known property with like teenagers.
This is how I know I'm rapidly aging. Because this came out of the clear blue sky for me.
Okay. Well, actually, I did know what it was, but I had never seen it before. I'd seen the picture. So, okay, to try to set this up, I'll read the logline of what this movie is and then give a little history on it because it's pretty fascinating. So, the logline on IMDb is after a therapist's patient disappears into a dimension beyond reality, she must venture into the unknown to save him. It's like basically this guy works at a furniture store, Chiwetel Ejiofor, and he's an unhappy person. And he goes into the basement and he discovers a portal in his wall that leads him into this alternate universe, which is just a never ending labyrinth of mundane, like, neon light yellow office space.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels sort of like real life, but there's something just a little off about it. Like the way that the halls are angled, or you'll see things from reality chairs, tables, whatever, but they're like blended into the ground, almost like, like some sort of weird mishap where something didn't go through a portal correctly. And so only half of it is appearing. And as he wanders these halls, he hears things in the distance. So he's possibly not alone, and we don't know what that thing is. And so you get it's well, anyway, the way that
I'm having fun just listening to you attempt to describe.
I know it's
riveting.
Sorry, this is bad radio. But the way that it started was some picture that someone posted of a real empty office space, and it was online, and then I think it was on 4chan or something like that. They posted the picture, and then they started making up this mythology of what this place could be, because it just looked mundane, but also like kind of off-putting, and like a place you wouldn't necessarily, even though it's all the lights are on, you just wouldn't necessarily want to stand there like alone. It just feels like, is there something around that corner? Like something's off about this place. And so it became this internet mythology. And then this kid named Kane Parsons,
he's 20, so he started working on this as a teenager.
Yeah, I think he made this when he was 19, or if I'm not mistaken, he's turning 21 shortly.
Yeah, when this all started, he was 17.
Yeah, so he basically.
So needless to say, I'm looking at my three teenagers with a lot of disappointment after this past weekend.
right.
With judgy eyes.
Judgy eyes. Yeah. That's what Judge Reinhold looks at his wife with. Judgy eyes.
That's true. Yeah.
So he took this mythology and he basically made these YouTube videos,
right,
where they look like found footage, sort of like Blair Witch Project sort of thing, where someone accidentally goes through the portal. And what's brilliant about it is he made it in Blender, so it's not real. Like, it's all computer graphics, but it looks very, very good, very, very real. And it looks like someone with a camcorder, like an old school VHS camcorder, has gone through a portal and ends up in this place and is wandering these hallways. And he puts like the perfect distortion and sound design, so it really does feel like a person walking around with one of these old school camcorders. So that's what really sells it. Like, you really feel like you're in this unsettling / mundane place. So anyway, I'd never seen it before. I'd just seen the picture that originated it. But after I watched the movie, I went and watched the first short, and I recommend it. It's actually very impressive. I can totally see, and apparently he's made a lot of them since. And I can see why A24 saw this kid and was like, he gets this. Like, this is a very particular aesthetic, and he has already nailed it. So I don't know. Let's bring him in. Why have someone try to imitate what he's already done,
Right.
And that does make him I can't even think of another movie, a major release like this that's been made by someone so young. But I think it's cool that they did bring him in, because this movie is just a spectacular vision.
Yeah, it's headed towards being A24's biggest hit ever.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm familiar with this internet mythology. I knew this movie was coming, but this is not really on my radar, right? So Chad and I were like, well, let's go check this out. It looks kind of fun, like something we'd enjoy. And we go to the theater, and it is packed with kids. And in front of us, when we're trying to get our ticket scanned, there are these kids like, I don't know, looked like 12 or something. And they were trying to buy tickets to this, but they wouldn't sell it to them because it's rated R.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I can't remember the last time I saw that. You know what I mean? I mean, not since I remember it happening to me or something.
Yeah.
And then when we walked up to the theater, there was a security person at the door making sure no kids snuck in. And I was like, wow. And so I'm in this big theater. It's totally packed. And when it starts and it says back rooms, the whole theater rips into applause. And I was like, holy cow. Like, so there is like a dedicated rabid fan base for this, that this is like their Star Wars. You know, like they're showing up opening night to see this thing that they love. And so anyway, I think as a movie, I'm not sure how successful it is as a movie. And when I say that, it's because the characters are very stock. They're not very deep. They literally just feel like, you know, divorced guy who keeps liquor bottle by bed. You know what I mean? Or like, they're no deeper than that. But Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renata Reinsve, they're such great actors that they're really selling the experience for as weird as it is. And they're very compelling to watch. You just wish that, like at a script level, I wish it had been a little bit more textured or deeper character-wise.
So what I'm hearing is you've figured out what Kane Parsons does and you can do it better. Unquote Brian Hall.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But what I want to say is, and I've heard other people say this. I just listened to another podcast and they weren't too high on it for those reasons. And basically what I would say is I agree with you. However, as an experience, I loved this. I had a blast with this movie. This is an experience movie. You know what I mean? Like, it does have themes and it does have conclusions for the characters. And, you know, we can talk about how successful you feel like that is. But the experience of this, the cinematography, the vision, it's unlike anything I've seen before.
Yeah.
And I really feel like I saw a new version of creepy.
Gotcha.
And it really resonated with me. I had a lot of fun being with Ejiofor, kind of being creeped out, but wanting to know what was around the corner, hearing something scuttle, you know, in the background and being curious what it is, but also not wanting to see its face. You know, like it has that unsettling dream feeling, like the sort of sense and feelings that only can happen in a dream. And somehow Parsons captures that, you know, on film. It's and there is a minor sort of found footage aspect to it. That's maybe like a little bit of an homage to its origins. And I thought that was really successful. Like they made it look like a home video camera and there's a person going down this creepy tunnel and weird sounds are happening off screen. And I just enjoy that stuff. I enjoyed the paranormal movies. I enjoyed Blair Witch back in the day, but I like that that's not the whole movie. It's a portion of the movie. And then basically, you know, the rest of it is, I don't know, wandering through these halls and where all of that leads. And I was totally engaged with it, had no idea where it was going, experienced a kind of chill that I just can't think of another movie that's made me chill that way. And so, you know, yeah, as a story and with characters, I can completely understand people wishing there had been a little bit more to that. Although, again, the performances I thought were very, very good. They're bringing their A game, and it's really compelling to watch. But like for me, this was all about the ride. This was just such a cool ride, and I recommend it on that alone, honestly. And I'm very curious how this is going to continue to perform. I mean, insane that this movie, from this first-time director who's like 19 when he made it, based on a YouTube video, opens to 80 million plus.
Right.
Like that's bonkers. And so now I'm curious, like, does it have legs? Do more people turn up for this? Does the audience continue watching it? Like, does it have a steep drop? I'm very curious.
I think this one will have legs because I think the word of mouth is going to carry it. I also am already feeling bad for Kane Parsons in terms of having to follow up on this.
Oh,
Because
totally.
I feel like this is like a Shyamalan situation about to happen.
That is a really great comp. Yep. I mean, hopefully not, but that the possibility, absolutely.
And I mean, this seems, at least in terms of word of mouth, kind of a Blair Witch situation, which you likened it to earlier. Where it's just, well, I can't really talk about it. You got to just go see it, you know?
Yeah.
I was hoping to catch it by the time we recorded today, but unfortunately the scheduling did not work. So.
Oh, soon. Yeah. I've been wanting to catch Obsession, speaking of, but I just haven't had the time.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, the stuff is starting to pile up. Sheep Detectives also.
Yep.
My wife Amina just watched Sheep Detectives. She snuck away and watched that. So we may need to do like this may end up becoming a recurring segment where it's just stuff I haven't seen but Amina has, and then
right.
You have a nice conversation about.
Yeah. Well, one more thing I want to give it credit for also is there are things back there. And I'm certain that there were visual effects employed. And so I want to compliment the visual effects because I couldn't tell. What was a visual effect. And there are also things that you see that are clearly practical and really there. Okay. And they are very unnerving.
Interesting.
And I think the practicality of them is what really sells it.
Okay.
And it's one of those things where you're just like, it's not like Freddy Krueger. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's a little weirder than that. It's more dreamlike than that. And somehow to just create that and capture that and make me have like this, the thing when you're trying to explain a dream to someone and you just can't quite do it, or they're just like, I know this meant something to you and you had a feeling, but I can't understand what you're talking about. Somehow Kane Parsons translated that into something literal, a film. And I had a great time watching it.
So what about if you, Brian, are wandering through the back rooms and you just see a guy dressed as a pilgrim?
Yeah.
Is that your nightmare scenario?
I'd be like that guy in Mulholland Drive when he doesn't want to see what's behind the dumpster and he's like walking up to it and then he basically like dies of fright. That would be like...
For those of you who don't know, this is a deep cut to Brian's longstanding pilgrim terror. There is context to that, but I think it's funnier to say you're scared of pilgrims. So.
No, I am. They make me uncomfortable.
I love the idea that somebody's listening to this episode. This is their first episode of Movie Film. And they're like, he's afraid of pilgrims. What? Like that, you know, we just don't explain it.
Yeah. But you know what's funny? Sean Coyle, our friend, his kids, they know this about me. And so for my birthday, a lot of times they'll make me birthday cards, like draw them, and they'll draw pilgrims in them.
See, now I see you like John Hawke in Congo. Remember, like he dies of fright when he sees Amy.
Yes, right.
So that's like I like the idea of Sean's son coming up to you dressed up like a pilgrim. He's like, "Hi, Uncle Brian," and you're just like, "Ah!" and you're just dead.
I love also too like our references. I love how I'm like, yeah, Mulholland Drive where the guy dies of fright, and you're like, yeah, Congo where the guy dies of fright.
I'm like, yeah, no, Congo.
I love that. Yeah, what have you been watching?
I have been somewhat busy this past week. I think the last time we recorded, the last thing I had seen was Spider Noir.
Yes, right.
And that's been kind of fun because my kids are watching it, so I've sort of been dipping in and out watching, and they're really into it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the reaction to that show has been fun in that, what's working in its favor is that it's not really tied up in all the multiversal shenanigans. And you're not stressing over how does this quote unquote fit.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like, no, it's a fun story.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Nicolas Cage being like, hey, Silvermane, I don't know what you're doing here, but I'm afraid I got to stop you. It's just a lot of that. And you're like, I'm down for that.
Yeah. I heard he's doing kind of a Cagney. Is that right?
He's doing a little Cagney, a little Edward G. Robinson.
Okay.
I think I said this during our last discussion. The character is obsessed with gangster pictures. So there's at least a reason for it. I also admire the restraint of doing a kind of a Bogart-esque setting and not having voiceover narration, which you'd think that would have been the most obvious thing, and they shied away from that. So it isn't just Nicolas Cage. She wandered into my office, and I'd never seen anybody look like that before. They didn't do that. Which
right.
I admire the restraint. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's a good one. I do think you would enjoy it. So
okay, cool.
Recommend that. Anyway, as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, we have some listener letters.
Mail call!
I believe you have a letter for me.
18,000 letters, all addressed to Santa Claus.
You got mail.
All right, we got some Star Wars related communications. Seems appropriate because you may have forgotten, Brian, but there is a Star Wars movie in theaters right now.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
It is rapidly dropping down the charts.
I was going to say it's part of a narrative of some unprecedented box office recently, right? I mean, where you have Star Wars did a hard 70% drop in its second weekend, and then you have that movie Obsession, which was made for under $1 million, and each week it's been out, it has made more money. Which apparently the last time that happened was with E.T.
Wow.
Yeah. So that is an impressive story. And on top of that was, I think, number 2 this last weekend. And number 1 was Backrooms.
Backrooms, yeah.
19-year-old filmmaker based on a YouTube video opens to 81 million. So people are like, wow, this almost feels like back in the 70s, where Steven Spielberg is making his shark movie and George Lucas is making a space movie. And the establishment was like, who are these kids? And what is this pew pew and space stuff?
Well, you know that come Monday morning, every producer had their assistant just scouring 4chan.
Yeah. Well, the creepypasta stuff, right?
Exactly.
Like all that online horror. Yeah.
Because we're about to get a whole bunch of. It's a coming. You know it.
Totally.
All that. Here's a note we got from Roger, and this is he emailed us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. This is in regards to our Solo: A Star Wars Story commentary. This is Hi, Zaki and Brian. I loved this commentary. I listened while doing house chores. I love that. I love that people shovel the driveway while listening to us and stuff. That's cool. I unfortunately didn't see Solo in the cinema because I was barely a Star Wars fan then. I saw Solo on TV a year later. It is so fun. I'm not an uber Star Wars fan, but I appreciate the world now. I fell in love with Star Wars in 2020. I watched them in release order in David Cornsweat's preferred release order, which is 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and 6, which is the
is that
machete order? Yeah. So basically, that way, what you do is if you watch them, basically the idea is that if you watch them in number order, you lose the big reveal of Darth Vader being Luke's father. So if you go Star Wars, Empire, you get the reveal, and then you get the backstory with the prequel trilogy, and then you come back and watch Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
I watched I watched them in Cornsweat's preferred Star Wars order last month for Grogu prep time, and the sequels and the Mando show after.
Wow.
Man, that's a lot of Star Wars right there.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be cute to see Cornsweat's watch order. I have no clue how good Mando and Grogu will be, but I'll be there. Thanks for the show, guys. P.S. Disney, make Cornsweat's wish come true of being an X-Wing pilot.
Yeah, I'd be happy to see him in Star Wars.
David Cornsweat is such a Star Wars dork, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
I think we talked about it before. He recorded himself playing the music of the Death Star assault while doing the entire voiceover of the whole sequence.
Yeah, he knows the score so well that he knew where all the dialogue landed, and he was
impressive nerdery.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
See, that's the type of shit that when I was younger, if I were to do that, I would make sure there was not a camera anywhere near.
I know. It'd be like Star Wars Kid.
Yeah, right, exactly. You can't live that shit down, you know?
Yep.
David Cornsweat gets to play Superman, so I don't know. Maybe I was wrong the whole time.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Roger. And I would love to know what you thought of Mandalorian Grogu.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of thoughts on Mandalorian Grogu, here's an email we got from Matthew, also at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. He says, as I left a screening of The Mandalorian and Grogu, questioning the life choices that had led me there. I don't know. I feel like I'm unclear what he thought of that movie, Brian. I don't know. I got to thinking just how much of contemporary geek pop culture consists of prequels. Literally everything Star Wars has done since The Rise of Skywalker is a prequel to The Force Awakens. Star Trek Strange New World. That's true, by the way. Yeah. Star Trek Strange New Worlds is a prequel, and Picard was a prequel to the later seasons of Discovery. Over on HBO, home of the prequel It, Welcome to Derry. Both Westeros series are prequels to Game of Thrones and the Realm of Middle-earth. Both The Rings of Power and War of the Rohirrim are prequels, along with the upcoming movies about the hunt for Gollum and the flashback story about how the hobbits actually did meet Tom Bombadil before reaching Rivendell after all. Meanwhile, both Alien Romulus and Alien Earth are prequels to Aliens, and the next Narnia reboot will start with a prequel to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Dune Part 3 is technically moving the big screen franchise forward, but it's based on a book with lots of decades-old sequels, and The Odyssey takes place in the distant past. Starfleet Academy nominally advanced the Star Trek narrative, yet still managed to give off prequel vibes by focusing on the rebuilding of the Federation, thereby making it a spiritual prequel to at least the next generation. Also, the rebooted Harry Potter series will be one long prequel to the Cursed Child play. Finally, the MCU stands alone by charting new ground, but even the famously tight-lipped Kevin Feige hasn't bothered to conceal that Secret Wars will feature a major continuity shakeup of some kind, so the upcoming Spider-Man and Doomsday flicks also carry a certain prequel-y je ne sais quoi. Now, I love me some franchises, and Andor felt fresh as heck, so I'm no automatic prequel hater, but this feels like a lot of retrospection, no? I don't really have much more to say about all this, but just thought it worth pointing out.
Yeah, that's pretty fascinating, seeing it all listed out like that.
Well, I will say, I think the Starfleet Academy example, I see where you're going. That feels like a little bit of a push to me. I think with the MCU, that's like saying, well, every MCU thing is a prequel to the next thing. I mean, it's like, well, yeah.
Sure.
However, broadly, I think we're seeing something very interesting, which is that corporations are averse to change. They don't want to change the window dressing of their big brands too much because that moves it too far away from the thing that makes them money.
Yep.
So I don't think it's a surprise at all. Star Wars has been sort of a unique beast, which we've talked about before. I think they're terrified to go past Rise of Skywalker because they don't know what the hell to do.
I was going to say, I think why they would, or these studios with all these properties would be inclined to do prequels is you can do new stories, but there is like a ceiling that's almost like a safety net for you. Like, how much you can change and how much you can't change, and you can work within like safe confines. But if you were to do it post stories that have already been told, you're charting something that's like the Wild West.
Yeah.
Right. And it might affect things that you want to do later, and it just feels a little riskier to venture out that way. Right.
Well, I think, what's interesting is when we talk about the Star Wars prequels, I mean, the biggest knock, well, there are many knocks now, but I mean, what the biggest knock against the Force Awakens was like, why are you guys just redoing A New Hope?
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of tells you something where even as they moved it forward, the goal really wasn't to move it forward.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It was to take it backward. So I think the fact that they are doing all these prequels, I mean, I'm not opposed to prequels, but I am burned out on prequels.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like I'm kind of like, well, the if it was worth telling, you would have done it already. Generally, with rare exceptions, right? I mean, Godfather Part 2 has prequel elements, right?
Right.
But remember when they were talking about doing the John McClane prequel?
Yes.
And it's like, why, dude?
Yeah. Aren't they doing
like right now
Rambo?
I was just about to bring this up. They're doing the John Rambo, which is coming out in June, I think. And my thought is like, well, what is that story? Because like either he's just a regular soldier in Vietnam, or he's a friggin' psychopath in Vietnam. And I don't believe that's the case. So it's like, what is the necessary element of this story?
Yeah.
Because inevitably it's like, how do we allude to the thing that people know?
Yeah.
And the example I've used before is Hannibal Rising, which is the Hannibal Lecter prequel, and it's him as a kid. And I'm like, well, I don't want to see why Hannibal Lecter became the way he did, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And then, even Red Dragon, which is very much a prequel, tries to incorporate as much of the, hey, this is connected to that other thing. Like, I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's another example. Yeah, it's talking about the Hunt for Gollum.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another one where like you're what is interesting about this story?
Yeah, because we already know where it ends.
Right.
So
like what
essential?
about
this? Yeah, exactly.
And I think since the last time we discussed it, they have cast Jamie Dornan as Aragorn. And that is good casting, I will say. I think he, right? Like I can absolutely see that.
Yeah, me too.
So I remember you and I were like, man, whoever the poor bastard is. I'm like, well, you know what? It could have been worse. I think he is. I think he would do well in that role, and I think he would do something different enough that you wouldn't be too fixated on the fact that it's not Viggo Mortensen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, hey, Hollywood is built on recycling familiarity, so I think that's the reason we get so many prequels.
Yeah,
and they will never stop.
You know what's funny? We were talking about this a couple episodes ago. I don't remember what about specifically, but we were just being like a little cynical about Hollywood and them trying to please everybody and then pleasing nobody and making these very safe blockbusters. And I'm thinking two things right now. When I was editing that episode and I heard us saying it again, I did think, yes. And there have been an awful lot of interesting movies recently. I mean, just recently. I mean, this year alone, the drama was really interesting, and Sinners and One Battle and Weapons and Project Hail Mary, is
all doing pretty well.
Yeah, and I talked about a movie called Crime 101 that was really good, that came out in theaters this year, and Send Help earlier this year. So it's not like we're only getting recycled story blockbusters sorts of things. I've been kind of impressed when I really think about how many interesting things have come out theatrically, even though maybe they don't perform as much as we would like, but they have been given a shot at least, and people have discovered them at some point, whether in theaters or streaming. And then the other thing I think is, well, if some of those blockbusters keep the lights on, you know what I mean? Then if people want to see them, enjoy them, great. But I am happy that there have been options. More options than I think I've been giving credit lately.
So stay with me on this. How about a Ferris Bueller prequel?
Have you heard about this?
Well, I was just joking. Is this a real thing?
I actually don't remember if this is top secret or not. No, this was announced.
Oh, okay. I was 100% joking, just to be clear.
There was a script. It was in development, and it was about the two guys who take the car.
So that's not even a prequel. That's just like a side quest.
Sidequel. Yeah, but they basically went out. I guess I probably shouldn't talk about this. But anyway, yes, Zaki, they thought of that already.
Okay.
No, I mean, and I say that because like your cynical idea, it's like, that's how cynical it is. It's like, yeah, they mind it.
They've at least considered it.
Yeah. Although I think if you're going to do it, that's pretty clever.
The two guys, that's almost like as far as I'd be willing to go.
Right. At least it's something different.
What I want, and when I say what I want, I actually mean what I don't want, is like Ferris goes, it's his first day of school. He's like the new kid and everybody's picking on him or whatever.
Right.
And he meets Cameron. Cameron is like kind of the cool kid.
Right.
And then by the end of the story, the tables are turned and
Right. Or he like does his first confident thing and realizes there's power in confidence, and then he rises.
Yeah, well, it's like Bart, when he goes to school for the first time, and he's like, "But man,
yeah, right.
Yeah. Cameron's like, "The world needs a clown," or whatever he said.
Exactly.
Knock on wood, so that doesn't happen. But yes, I think it just so happens we are speaking at a moment when there is a lot of new energy in interesting new ideas. And so, as we talk about often, hopefully it means, yeah, sure, we get our sequels and our franchises, which we're ultimately fine with on a case by case, but do the other stuff too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which, by the way, I'm thinking, just because I mentioned the drama and now Robert Pattinson's on my mind. Did you see the trailer for that To Catch a Predator movie that's coming?
Sign me up.
I know. What is the deal? But I feel the same way.
Dude, so it's called Primetime, and it's Robert Pattinson as Chris Hansen, and he has that inflection down.
Yeah, totally.
And it's looking at the making of To Catch a Predator, which you may remember. They came out with a documentary about it just in the last year.
I watched it on your recommendation.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did, yeah.
It's a good documentary, right?
It's very good, yeah.
Really interesting. It's called Predators. And I suspect that this film is going to traverse much of the same ground.
Kind of interrogating the whole enterprise.
Yeah. Sort of the impact of this, this show, which is really gross.
Yeah.
But, by putting these pretty disgusting people on display, it sort of cloaks itself in righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
And so you kind of have to take a step backward and be like, well, this is all gross.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and again, I suspect that's the angle the film is going to take, and so I'm very much interested in it. The documentary is terrific for those of you listening. It's called Predators, not to be confused with Predator 3, also called Predators.
Yeah,
very different thematic focus.
Yeah. But I knew this movie was coming, and I thought it was going to be like an analog to Catch a Predator. But then when you hear Pattinson like, "Why don't you take a seat?" Like doing the voice, I was like, "Whoa, they're really doing it."
Dateline NBC,
yeah.
And it, the documentary actually interviews Chris Hansen, and I found that probably the most fascinating part of it.
Mm-hmm. That was interesting,
right? Because he sort of has to reckon with his role in this, right? So I mean, either he, it's like two options: either disavow, be like, "Well, we went a little too far," or be like, "No, we did a lot of good."
Because that's his legacy now.
That's his legacy, exactly. And he's still doing it, by the way. Now he's just doing it on YouTube.
Yeah, like a web series.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. Anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think that's in the fall.
Yes.
Moving on. Hey, Brian, we got some headlines.
Extra, extra.
What a scoop!
Well, here's a big one. Marcia Lucas has passed away.
Yeah.
Marcia Lucas, ex-wife of George Lucas, but perhaps just as importantly, she was the editor of the original Star Wars and Return of the Jedi.
And Taxi Driver. And
yeah, above and beyond the Lucas of it all.
Yeah.
She has been credited with, it's sort of like initially, following George Lucas's divorce, I think he tried to move away from crediting her very much, right?
Yeah.
And so what you saw was a bounce back where fans were crediting her with having saved the film.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the truth is probably somewhere in the middle.
I totally agree with that.
As tends to be the case. But yes, THX 1138, American Graffiti, Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, Taxi Driver, New York, incredible editor, incredible instincts. And what you realize by the diversity of her filmography is that there is a specific sensitivity that's required to be an editor, where you have to go where the movie is attempting to take you, and sometimes that means grappling with it a little bit. She described in interviews the conversations she had with George, not as a wife but as an editor, about the things that she felt strongly should be cut out versus things she felt strongly should be left in, and that whole dialogue that goes into film construction is so fascinating, right? And I think certainly she has a very integral role in Star Wars.
Oh, definitely. I mean, an example. I think the thing was everyone knew it wasn't quite locking in the way that it should. And I think even, George Lucas was aware of that. And so he had everybody put their heads together, and he got, surrounded himself with smart people, including Marcia Lucas. And they came up with ideas like, I don't think originally there was a ticking clock at the end of A New Hope, the countdown to blowing up the rebel base. And that was something that was like put together in post, and just finding ways to ratchet things up and like she's responsible for a lot of those things that make us grip our seats at the end of that movie. Those a lot of her contributions. So, I mean, definitely she played a major part in helping to shape that movie for sure.
Yeah, I think there's that sense of like she saved the movie.
Yes. No. Yeah,
and I feel like there is. It's interesting to look at different sort of factions of Star Wars fandom, where you've got orthodox Star Wars fans, you have reformed Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
There's all, and so there is there's like the anti-Lucas Star Wars fans, which seems like an insane thing to say, but yet we know that is true.
Yeah.
We're like, well, if it wasn't for his ex-wife, the movie wouldn't have been what it is. And it's like, well, even she would say like all the pieces were with Lucas, I mean, it started with him. There wouldn't be a movie if it wasn't for him,
That's why I agree with you that it's something in the middle. Yeah. It's that's one of the smartest things you can do in a collaboration is to surround yourself with smart people and have no ego and just listen to the best idea.
Right. That's exactly right. And, I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, but, she had been interviewed recently. Do you remember this?
Yeah, it was like a series, right? Are you talking about that TV series?
Yeah, but like the I feel like the raw footage was released of the interview.
Oh, I did not see that. I can't believe I can't remember the show. If it was like on Vice. Let's see.
Yeah, I guess we should have done like a bare minimum of Icons Unearthed.
Yes, that's it.
So that's the series, and so they released like the raw footage. It's like 3 hours plus. You can find it on YouTube.
Oh wow.
And the guy who was interviewing her is a freaking idiot.
What do you mean?
Like he was not. It was so clear that he was A, not very good at it, and B, trying to get her to say certain things. And I'm astounded by the fact that, I mean, this session lasted for 3 hours, whatever, in fits and starts, whatever. But I'm just like, when you're interviewing somebody, you have to let them go where they're going to go, and then you go there. And it felt mean-spirited is the wrong word, but it felt dismissive of this woman's, of the entirety of her career.
Really?
To me, it did.
Huh. Why? Why would you even have her there, an interviewer, to
like it was so focused. I don't know if I don't think it was about taking her down. I think it was sort of diminishing by omission everything else she's done, because it just it felt like an attempt to create some kind of an adversarial hook against George Lucas. Right?
I see.
And I mean, their marriage, did not end amicably. And obviously he has, in the decades since, he hasn't been gone out of his way to incorporate her, which, I mean, that's his right. And it feels icky. Like, I don't want to get into all that. Right. And so it's weird. Like, here's a woman in the twilight years of her life, and she's having to sort of to dig through all this and her own hurt feelings about not being acknowledged and stuff. I don't know. It felt gross to me. That's all I'm saying.
That's tough because I think it's nice that she had an opportunity to tell her story,
right?
And share her experience. And yeah, my memory is that she didn't try to like claim some sort of larger credit for anything.
No,
she wanted to tell her story. Like, I was there. This,
right. But she does talk about, feeling like she's been shut out of the whole thing.
Sure.
And there's the like, oh, well, do you watch the new Star Wars stuff? She's like, well, no, not really. Well, why don't you watch it? Kind of thing. Like, well, she's entitled to not, you know, like,
Yeah. I see.
and you know, you get the sense from her, like, well, I mean, I did other stuff too.
Mhm.
But all of this is to say, certainly an essential part of that movie that the world fell in love with back then, right?
Right.
And as we hit the 50th anniversary of its release next year, what you realize is how so many of the essential people who are involved have moved on, you know, who we're not going to get their tellings, right? Gary
Mhm.
Kurtz and you know, obviously all of the actors who've passed on, and you know, there is something that saddens me about that. But then you're like, well, it's a 50-year-old movie,
Right.
right? I mean, that's the equivalent of Wizard of Oz when we were kids or something, you know?
Isn't that fascinating? But it's
Yeah,
one of those things that's just never gone away.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Like a rare case.
Very rare, yeah.
Yeah. You know what that
I mean,
reminds me of a little bit? Oh, no, go
yeah.
ahead. I want
Well,
no,
just
say,
that one point about Wizard of Oz, just given what we were just talking about, prequels and stuff. It is fascinating to me that Oz has had so many prequels and offshoots and whatnot, but they have never done a straight remake of Wizard of Oz,
Yeah.
right? And this is we've talked about this, I think, and it's like, what is it about that movie that's like everybody? It's like hands off, you know?
We understand. Don't touch it.
Weird, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I find that interesting.
Yeah. Now, all I was going to say was, you know, having Marcia Lucas be older now and kind of wanting an opportunity to at least, you know, tell her story, share her stories. That reminds me of that Paul Rubens documentary
Yeah,
that came out
right.
recently, Pee-wee as himself. And you very much, I mean, it's not like you get the sense. I mean, he basically outright says it. For most of his career, you know, people have loved Pee Wee Herman. But when they saw, you know, the movie Pee Wee's Big Adventure, which everybody loves, written by Paul Rubens, nobody knows who that is. And he's like, no, that's me. Like I worked really hard on that. And you don't even know that I did that, you know? And so it's like he wanted to, not in an egotistical way, but he wanted to get a little credit, you know, like let people know his story and what went into being this character, because that was like such a weird thing in the 80s, right? Where whenever Pee-wee was on a talk show, it wasn't like, here's Paul Rubens talking about Pee-wee Herman. He always appeared as Pee-wee Herman in the movie credits for Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Pee-wee Herman as himself.
Right.
Right. And so all these years later, I think Paul Rubens was looking back and we now know that he was ill. And I think he kind of wanted to have it on record. Like, my name's Paul Rubens. This was my creation. I worked really hard on it and I'm glad you liked it. And that's what that documentary felt like. And he even passes away while they're making the documentary. I mean, that's how close to the end he was. And so you just get this sense that that was really important to him, just to have the record straight, you know?
Isn't that something, right? Like the battle, the internal battle of feeling pride that your creation, that your character is so beloved, coupled with the frustration of wanting people to know you're more than just that one character.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I did want to mention, and this is only tangentially connected to things we talk about. I don't know if you've been following the news out of CBS over the last couple of days.
Headlines.
You know, it's one of those moments where you know you're living through the legacy sequel of The Insider.
Right.
It's a weird thing to have happening. So, you know, for those of you who don't know, CBS News has been overhauled over the last year because of various corporate agendas, let's say. And they brought in an executive producer editor-in-chief named Barry Weiss, who overhauled CBS News, and they brought in somebody new, and that show is languishing in the ratings. And then 60 Minutes, which has never been languishing in the ratings, always been a big hit. In the last week, they basically just decapitated the whole production staff, the executive producers and whatnot, and they've gotten rid of several of the correspondents, and they brought in a new EP who has no broadcast TV experience, and Scott Pelley, who's like a longtime CBS guy. He used to anchor the nightly news like a couple of years ago. He's been at 60 Minutes for a good 20 plus years at this point. So he gets up there and he's like, you know, you have no business running this show. And, Barry Weiss, she was brought in to murder 60 Minutes, and that's what she's doing, right? And I'm just picturing Christopher Plummer as Mike Wallace reading the riot act to the corporate people,
Right.
And it's just weird because we are, in fact, talking about 60 Minutes still. And it's like, well, if nothing else, you'd think the people involved would be like, well, I don't want to be the bad guy in the hypothetical Insider sequel. If nothing else, right?
Well, you would think, or at least that's how people seem to used to think.
It's odd, but yeah, like I said, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes, and so we are sort of living through this moment right now. And this is something. This has been a hobby horse of mine for a long time. Look, journalism is important, and if it goes away, we'll all suffer the impact of it. And so this is something seismic that's happening right now, because 60 Minutes, there's no excuse, right? The show continues to be a powerhouse. So you can't even claim, oh, we're just trying to fix it because it's broken. No, you're breaking it.
Right.
So that you can claim what you're doing is fixing it. And that's very scary, because to me, that makes me say, well, what does a year from now look like at 60 Minutes, and by extension, all these other news sources that are trusted, by and large, news. And Brian, you may remember this. News did not used to be partisan.
Right.
It used to just be, it's like, this is the news. This is what's happening,
Yeah.
And we're swiftly losing that. We're seeing this shift where you have people who have been cut loose from legacy media, making their little perches on YouTube and whatnot. Right. So you've got, Don Lemon and Jim Acosta or whoever, like all these people. Right. And I'm like, that's fine. Good. Right. If you're able to keep working, good. But the problem is it levels the playing field in a way that's not necessarily helpful if you're trying to put out facts. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? Because these big news organizations, by virtue of the fact that they have these established institutional legacy that allowed the ability to say, no, this is true. And they had a megaphone that was likely to reach a greater distance. And when you take that away and you say, well, no, I'm just going to join the pool with all these people who've set up shop on YouTube. Well, how do you stand out? How does an average person know the difference between X talking head versus Y talking head in terms of agendas and whatnot? Right? It's like, and I use this example in my classes. I'm like, you and I, we know the difference between Time Magazine and some random, like there's Time Magazine. Oh, we know that's a real magazine. Newsweek, that's a real magazine. News Time, well, that's not a thing, right? But if I tell somebody News Time who doesn't know any better, they'll just be like, oh, okay, it's a magazine. That's where we're at now, right? Because people, by and large, don't know these differences, don't know these distinctions.
Right.
If you're just watching stuff on TikTok, then how do you differentiate between who's credible and who's not?
Yeah. Losing these things are sad.
Yeah, and I feel like periodically on this show we're doing sort of like death wash for traditional journalism, and that's saddens me certainly as somebody who works in journalism and loves it, and knows how important it is. If it goes away, we'll all be impacted.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's like a TBD. We're going to keep checking in on that one. I have a feeling
we'll put a pin in that one.
We will absolutely put a pin, but we've got something more important to discuss at this very moment.
And now we're pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
And we are back, and you know who else is back, Brian?
Who's that, Zaki?
Why, it's Adam, Prince of Eternia.
Hey, it's been a while.
It has indeed. He's shown up every once in a while, but nobody else has paid attention.
That's true. You have, though. You've always checked in with the Masters of the Universe.
I'm among the few, the proud. Yes.
Yeah.
Masters of the Universe is in theaters as we are recording this, and it's probably going to be out of theaters by the time you're listening to this. I'm just guessing.
It's funny. I feel like for a while, just because of our schedules, we've been recording our, conversations after release weekend. So we kind of have an idea of how the world has received the thing we're talking about.
Yeah.
But this is like right as it's about to open. So we don't know
That's
exactly how this is going to perform. I mean, I have my fears, but it's kind of interesting. I actually haven't even read a lot of reviews about this. So I just kind of have my feelings.
Well, I'm looking at Deadline here. It says Manchester Universe is best with guys over 25. Franchise had its heyday in the 80s with men over 40. Let's see. It's looking at $20 million abroad and between 25 and 35 domestically for its opening weekend, which would be catastrophic for a movie with a around $200 million budget.
Yeah.
Not ideal.
And for a movie that I fear may not have legs.
That's going to be an interesting one. Yeah, I'm very I suspect you're right. Because even if word of mouth is good, I mean, there's just a lot of there's a lot of competition.
A lot of things going on. Yeah, and it seems like the youngs out there are watching all these horror movies, right? The Obsession and Backrooms and all that, and it's what I mean. Like that's the audience you need to be showing up for this.
That's really the key thing. Yeah. So ultimately, as I have said often on this show, hey, that movie ain't coming out of my pocket, ain't going into my pocket.
Sure.
All I got to say is whether I think it's good or not, so we can have that conversation. But yes, just as a He-Man fan from the time I was just a little wee one, I would like it to do well, just to show that there's still juice left in this. But
I agree, and I mean, without any spoilers, I mean, the things that it sets up, I'm like, I want to see that.
That is true. Yeah. Specific. Yeah. Right. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So we have not talked about our thoughts on the film, although you read my review.
I did. I couldn't help myself. I saw you posted it.
You have me at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
But I suspect, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we landed somewhere in the same vicinity as each other.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I'll just say this. I mean, before we even get into it, look, I'm watching it again about an hour and 15 minutes from now.
Oh, okay.
So that's how much I liked it.
I hope I get to catch it again. That's how much I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I will say this, though. I wasn't sure about it in the first half. It starts off kind of doing that Marvel yuck humor. You know what I mean? Where it's like, if we even like hint that we're taking any of this seriously, we're going to lose everybody. So we've got to undercut everything we say.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, I get that. And it's probably the right instinct, but I thought it was dialed a little high at the beginning. And I was a little worried, not going to lie. But I was enjoying it. I was enjoying seeing Adam on Earth. Well, I enjoyed the setup at the beginning. I enjoyed Adam on Earth. I enjoyed the hero's journey of it, frankly, with He-Man. I thought that was all sturdy and fun. For me, the second half is where this movie really locked in.
Interesting.
And I was like, I love this. Like this, it turned into the He-Man cartoon. Like,
right.
It was like unabashedly the He-Man cartoon. It like more and more and more, even as it went along, that by the time it ended, I was smiling so big that like I didn't even care about the things that I wasn't so sure about. And it made me want to rewatch it again because I thought, now that I kind of get what it is as a whole, I wonder if I might even be more generous
right
with the whole thing on a second viewing. But I walked out of it with a huge smile on my face. I don't think this is going to be for everybody, honestly. But I just love that it was so proudly and unabashedly a He-Man movie.
I agree with you. It's not going to be for everybody, but that sentiment, that can apply widely to all types of films. I think the key thing though is, at least for me, and feel free to disagree, The question I had is, if somebody's just coming in completely cold, are there enough hooks
Mm-hmm.
to bring them on that journey? And I think this movie accomplishes that.
Yeah, yeah, like I said at the beginning, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about my parents. I was like, would they enjoy this? Because they knew I was seeing it that night, and they were like, "Oh, tell us how it is." And I wasn't sure. This was my experience. And then by the end, I was like, I think most people will walk out of this with a big smile on their face.
Right. That's where I feel like word of mouth is really going to be key, because I think people who decide to check it out, they'll at least enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
If they have an inclination for this type of thing, you know.
Yeah.
I think that for me, the way it evokes the cartoon, like you were talking about, partly like this is like, so Travis Knight, right, who you know, he started with Leica, and he did, you know, Kubo and the Two Strings animation, but he did Bumblebee. That was his first live action movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Bumblebee, it took like, you know, 45 seconds into that movie to be like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing.
Which, it's funny you say that, because I forgot that he did that movie. I like that movie, and my family watched it together at Christmas, and we all enjoyed it. So
above and beyond just being a good fantasy film, very heavily Spielberg influenced, right?
Yeah.
But he locked in on the iconography of Transformers in a way that the Michael Bay films never did, right? Because from Michael Bay didn't have that affinity for Transformers. It wasn't his thing. But for Travis Knight, it was.
Right.
And so when I heard he was directing this, I was like, well, they got the right guy, obviously. And so it was gratifying to see that initial confidence borne out. He got it, you know? I also think, I mean, it's tricky, right? Because you know, I watch the old Filmation cartoons fairly often, usually with my kids, you know? And, you know, He-Man as a character, I mean, he's kind of square, right? There's not a ton of growth you can have that character go through, although there's a few episodes where they actually have him experience something meaningful. But, you know, that was kind of my thing. Like, how do you make He-Man interesting? You know, we just watched the 1987 movie, and we're like, He-Man is like the least interesting character in this He-Man movie, right?
Right.
I think by centering the film on this notion of what does it mean to be a man, and that's sort of Adam's journey, I think it gives us somewhere to start and somewhere to end. And that's always, you know, you hear me say this all the time. I'm like, what's the emotional journey that we're going on? And then I'll go with you on all the razzmatazz. And I feel like that I was gratified by that.
Same. Yeah.
You know,
I found all that stuff worked.
Like, I think Adam gets a great journey. I think Man at Arms has a terrific character journey.
Yep. They share a moment later in the movie that I was really touched by and laughed at, and that was really fun.
I think Camila Mendez as Tila, I think she gets like, you know, substantial stuff to do, right? Above being just like warrior girl. And I'll say, I don't know if this is like controversial, I thought Jared Leto was great as Skeletor.
You know, I feel like,
however, I will say, before you even finish.
No, please.
I will say that I think his characterization was good. However, it could have been like literally anybody. There is that. Let's acknowledge that.
I look forward to watching it again, because I feel like he's felt a little just flat at the beginning. Like,
to me, he was like a mix of Frank Langella and Filmation, and they just like merged them together, and you got this guy.
Well, I feel like maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it's just because that was his introduction. But as the movie went along, he became more and more funny and interesting.
Sure.
And at the beginning, it wasn't like a distinctive voice. It was just some guy doing like a sort of British affectation kind of thing and rolling his R's.
Right.
And I was like, okay. Like, I wasn't thinking much of it. But as the movie went along, then he got a little quirkier, and his interactions with Evil Lynn, and, you know, the way he would react to certain things when they didn't go his way. Then I started to really like the character more. Like he kind of grew on me over the course of the movie.
I agree with that. I know I would agree with that. I think in that sense, I'm thinking about just overall my experience with the character. But yeah, I mean, I think what you're saying is fair. I think, and I noted this in my review, I mean, they way mixed him down, his voice.
I was so glad you actually pointed that out in your review, because there were a couple lines that I didn't catch.
Yeah,
because
it was like just let him do whatever he was doing without having to, it was like, you know, Orson Welles in the Transformers movie where they just, you know, they post-produced it so much.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it almost, maybe that's part of what it is that I'm feeling, but not quite being able to put into words. Like they sort of stripped it of like just a bit more even personality.
Right.
Like he was saying funny things and it was funny hearing him say those things his way. But I feel like just giving him a little bit more nuance would have made him feel even more interesting. But I feel like it got that way more as the movie went along, and then he started saying funnier things. And
see what I liked was the utter lack of nuance for this character.
Yeah, no, I like him being broad. No, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I like him being broad, but even just to the just to the voice, to the performance.
Yeah.
But sorry.
But right away when people heard Jared Leto had been cast, it was like the ritual rending of garments and stuff, right? And this is my thing with Jared Leto. I would say overall, in general, I'm a net neutral on most Jared Leto work, right?
Yeah.
Like we talked about Tron Ares. Like I didn't think he was bad. I didn't think he brought anything extra either. He was a net neutral. Mm-hmm. I feel like in this one, there was a little personality he brought in where I have to acknowledge, well, I don't think he was bad. He certainly, you can't, if there are failings in the movie, I don't think you can be like, oh, well, Jared Leto, you know, kills everything he touches. I don't think that's the case.
No.
But when you hear it's Jared Leto, you're like, well, maybe they're going to show like before he became Skeletor or something.
Oh, yeah,
right?
Sure.
That was my thought. And no, they don't do that.
No. Was he on set? Like, is that his body? Like
that's what Alison Brie said. He showed up, he rubbed blood on his face or whatever stupid goddamn Jared Leto thing that he inevitably does.
Right? Dead rats in boxes and his rap gifts. Yeah.
You know, so yes, that was him. Although, you know, it's a remarkable motion capture creation.
I see.
That's the thing. One thing I've seen a lot of is like this movie seems very embarrassed by itself, and I can see that. I can see that interpretation. But to me, I'm like, I don't think you can look at the characters in this movie and say it feels embarrassed by itself.
I was going to say I couldn't disagree more.
Right? Like for me, I suppose like there's a moment which I found pretty fun, to be honest. I don't think this is a spoiler, but like, you know, the plot hinges on this idea that Adam was whisked away from Eternia as a child and then he comes back, right? And now he's reintroduced all these people. And he's like, you're Ram Man and you're Fisto. And they're like, that's not our name, guy, you know? And I thought that was hilarious.
I thought it was pretty brilliant, to be honest.
Right?
Because that's his 10 or even like 8 or whatever he was. That's his 8-year-old memory of these people. Oh, the guy had the Iron Fist. So I called you Fisto.
Exactly.
And so he's got these childish names.
Because you look at the names of the toys, right? And you're like, well, that is kind of a silly name, you know?
Yeah.
And so I suppose you could say, oh, the movie's just embarrassed of itself. And I'm like, well, you can do that, or you can be very triumphantly, I am Fisto. And I feel like that's worse.
I agree. And they do the thing. Yeah, we're like, well, that's you know, that's a silly sort of name. But like, I don't know. There's the version of that where you feel like the movie is embarrassed of itself. Like we talk about that in the superhero movies where they always have to dismiss their costumes or their names or something. This felt different to me.
I agree with that.
And these things are 10 times sillier than yellow and blue costumes. These names, you know what I mean? Ram Man and
Mechanic.
Yes, exactly. So I thought that was a pretty clever idea.
I thought it was. I thought that worked. And I think, and I noted this in my review too, I think the movie very smartly just ignores the secret identity of it all.
Sure.
All right, because this is the thing where you're like, you look at Superman, you're like, how come nobody recognizes when he puts on his glasses? It's like, okay, well, He-Man, hold my beers. That. It's like, oh, Adam takes off his shirt and gets a tan and nobody recognizes him, you know?
Right.
And I think it's like, I remember going into this being like, there is no good way to, like, you just can't do the secret identity.
Yeah.
So I think that was a smart way to go. But I think we haven't talked at all about Nicholas Galitzine as Adam and He-Man. A couple of things. First of all, I mean, the guy put on some muscle for this role, right? Like,
Dude, he looks good. He looks like an action figure.
He does. But what's interesting is that as Adam, he's able to play him as kind of dumpy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And it's just he slouches. And I was thinking of like Chris Reeve as Clark Kent, where his physicality is just different as Adam.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you see him become He-Man, I mean, his whole posture, everything changes. And the way he looks as He-Man, you're like, well, that is He-Man,
Mm-hmm. Oh, totally. I mean, I got chills, honestly, when
the first time he becomes He-Man, I was like, man, this is like the movie, 40 plus years ago I wanted to see,
like literally. I mean, that's why I say when people are saying it feels like it's embarrassed by itself, we'll get into spoilers in a bit, but I mean, where this movie winds up and everything that it does and shows us, like, this is the cartoon.
Yeah.
Like in the best possible way. This is like what, 7-year-old Brian wanted to see when he was 7.
Yeah, that's right.
And my theater, by the way, was like eating it up.
Really?
Like, laughing at everything, applauding at I Have the Power. So I don't. What was yours like?
It was fun. I mean, there was a big round of applause when it ended.
Mm-hmm.
So they were definitely feeling that. I think that that there's a lot of like in the front end, looking at how he's just fundamentally unhappy in his job, and he's working HR or whatever he's doing, right?
Yeah.
And I found all that funny, but I will say, if there's a critique I have, I almost wonder if it would have been worth showing him being really good at what he does.
Yeah.
Like resolving differences and stuff like this. Like, he's very, like, yes, he wants to get home, but he's also like, this is something he is good at.
I completely agree with that, because basically they try to turn corporate office speak into sort of a joke.
That's right.
And so when he does office speak, to these mythical heroic characters, it feels silly.
Right.
But I agree with you. I kind of wish we had seen that it's like, no, he actually has, yes, he's very distracted by, trying to find the sword while he's on Earth. But yeah, that's his strength. He was never like a warrior type.
Right.
But he is good with people.
Yeah, because to me, the film starts with sort of this idea that, oh, he's this kid, and his dad, the king, is like, oh, he's like, wrong son died kind of thing, a little bit like, oh, he's not a man, basically, right?
Yeah.
And I would have, I mean, the movie does gesture towards it, but sort of like, well, what does it mean to be a man?
Mm-hmm.
What does masculinity mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I applaud what it tries to do, because it's not like, no, being masculine means being macho and muscular. And no, I mean, I think He-Man has a sensitivity. He had in the old show,
mm-hmm.
he had that too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was just watching an episode the other day, and it's like, oh, Merman is going after Tila or whatever, and then Merman is in danger, and He-Man saves him.
Mm-hmm.
And Tila's like, why'd you save him? And he's like, because every life is worth saving. And that stuff, I mean, obviously I just sort of took it in as a kid, but as a grown up, I appreciate that a lot. That message is always important.
Yeah.
And so, He-Man was always, sensitive in that way. He wasn't just a barbarian with an axe and a sword.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't like, oh, woke He-Man,
Mm-hmm.
So I like that they leaned into that. I think I just would have liked, I would have liked them to square the circle more on that, because we kind of like, well, we'll talk about this in spoilers, but it feels like there's unresolved issues that he has that I don't think fully get addressed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, do we want to get into it?
well, one thing I'll say before you can get into your thing, not nearly enough Battle Cat. It's very disappointing.
Yes. There's a moment where he actually says, I guess I'll get in the armor next time or something like that. And I was like, oh, don't do that. And so then later when we do see him in the armor, because I had the Battle Cat with that red armor and everything, and like just seeing him on screen, I was like, wow. I didn't realize I was going to have those feelings watching this movie, but it was pretty exciting. It was brief, but exciting.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, go ahead.
No, well, I guess we could have said this during non-spoilers, but the score is super fun. Like,
dude, great score. Brian May on guitar.
Yeah, it's very like Flash Gordon-y.
Oh yeah, big time.
Literally Queen plays.
That's right.
During the movie. But when we see some of the first action happening, and it's like rock music, kind of like 80s rock music and drums and guitars, I was like, yes, this is correct. Like this is what this is. Like, I don't want to hear some sort of Lord of the Rings self-serious score. This is fun. You know what I mean? Like, we're having fun. And that's why what I was saying earlier, I do feel like this movie embraced its fun, aspects, and that the planet is colorful. And then by the end, they're wearing literally their costumes from the cartoon.
Right.
And Orko shows up. You know what I mean? And Orko talks to the audience and reiterates the lesson of the movie.
That's great.
Like, I mean, I was so delighted by all of that.
Yeah.
And I have always talked about how I like fourth wall breaks when they're doing the meme and they're all laughing, like leaning back and cackling, laughing together. And Cringer's like, what the heck is going on? And he like looks at the camera. I died. I died laughing. So I like that it embraced its silliness.
Yeah.
But like you said, there was a real arc to it, and themes and good characters. And so I just felt like it was a great package. I like that it didn't feel like it had to be, well, it's got to be a little bit more Lord of the Rings than the cartoon because people won't take it seriously otherwise. It's like, no, they just let it be what it actually is. And like you said, I hope people catch on to it and enjoy that. But if not, we do have a really pretty great He-Man movie.
That was my thought. I was like, would I like a sequel? Absolutely. But we got this one and it's pretty good. I honestly, this seems like another John Carter Rocketeer, Dick Tracy situation.
All movies I love.
Yeah, I mean, and like these are movies that will be watched. I would add like The Phantom to that list.
Sure.
It's just that movie's 30 years old.
Dungeons and Dragons.
There's another one. Yeah, this. My brother when I was driving home, he's like, what did you think of it? I said, hey, I liked it. I said, it's like Flash Gordon meets Thor Ragnarok I said Flash Gordon meets Dungeons and Dragons meets Thor Ragnarok if Star-Lord was Thor.
Yeah.
Right. And my brother, it was funny because I had lunch with him yesterday. He's like, yeah, I totally got it. Like I did all the math as you were talking. I was like, yeah, I want to see it,
Yeah.
And it's tricky, I don't know what I said in my review is making this movie in 2026 is like making a major Matt Mason movie in the 1980s. And for those of you who are like, what's a Matt Mason? That was a Mattel toy line in the 60s, which, it was long gone by the time we grew up.
Like back then, my dad might be like, oh, I remember that.
That's exactly.
But I wasn't going to go drag my parents to the theater to go watch a Matt Mason movie.
Now, I will say, I took my two older ones. They're 19 and 17. They both liked it. Like unabashedly, they liked it.
Oh, good.
They're like, that was good. And they weren't just trying to make their old man feel better about his life choices.
Yeah.
So I think that to your point, like tonally it had a bit of a balancing act to do, and I think it managed to stay on balance,
Mm-hmm.
which is no easy feat, because I mean you're talking about fundamentally a universe where you have to balance the fantasy elements with the sci-fi elements, and it's all meant to sell toys anyway.
Yeah, right.
But how do you give it heart?
Right.
I think they do that.
I agree. And I liked how, I mean, I guess this is just inherent to the story itself, but just how more bonkers it got as it went along.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously things change once they're on Eternia and you've got spaceships, and which I enjoyed all that stuff. But I liked where Skeletor goes into He-Man's mind and he is then in the restaurant that Adam.
I really liked that sequence.
And dude, when he was in the office and he was wearing that button-up short-sleeve shirt,
That's right.
and he had a tie that had bones on it.
That's right.
I think I might even said out loud, "It has bones on it." Like, that's funny. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe that's even it. Now that I'm thinking about it, why I say that I locked in on the second half. Maybe I didn't know what it was doing at first.
That's right. That's a good observation. Yeah.
And I might watch it differently the second time, even though like I said, when it ended, I was like, big smile on my face. This was a lot of fun. But yeah, I like, that Adam too, like the fact that they let him be kind of dopey. It was watching him on Earth not just be this kind of handsome guy with big biceps who's just trying to make his way, but he's a little awkward in the way that the girl in She's All That's awkward just because she's wearing glasses.
That's the funny, because the movie starts with him on a blind date.
Yes.
And he just sort of, the whole intro voiceover back narration is just him telling this girl. And it's funny because you're like, look, Nicholas Galitzine, certainly in this movie, is an objectively godlike human being,
Mm-hmm.
And so like, that's the buy where this girl wouldn't just like sort of nod politely because he's so handsome. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, but he's embarrassing himself.
That's right.
And I was a little surprised. And I liked it because it really endeared me to him, and just how he's like, no, I remember this. This happened to me, and this is important, and I'm going to get back there someday. And it made me really want him to get back.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
I think that the whole the idea of you have a destiny. You've been told you're the one who this sword will bring you back, like and then nope. And for 15 years, you're just told, no, none of that is true.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little like John Connor in Terminator 3,
Yeah, right. It makes me wish to, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, not at all.
One of my not red flags, but warning flags at the beginning was his roommate.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because his roommate is just like the whole, supposed to be like the audience surrogate to just be sarcastic against everything that's being presented by this movie.
Right. He's kind of Taika Waititi in Green Lantern.
Yes. Yes. Which a lot of, a little Taika goes a long way, right?
We've established that.
Well, and it starts with him like watching The Notebook and crying and then trying to hide it. And I was like, dude, that joke's like 20 years old. Right. Although I recognize later on that maybe has something to do with masculinity and its themes and stuff. But instead of him just being some sort of kind of like,
that just happened.
Yeah, like some tired joke machine.
Mm-hmm.
I actually wish, I'm like, what is their relationship? Why does he believe Adam?
Right. Nobody
not?
Else does, but he actually does.
Yeah, and I was like, he's like, look, I know Adam says these things and he really believes them, and I kind of feel bad for him. He's not a bad guy. Like, I would have liked if that relationship had felt a little bit more real.
Well, I think just to add on to what you're saying, I think this is what's missing. And it's not like you necessarily feel the absence, but this is certainly what I thought of. I'm like, well, he landed on Earth as like an 8-year-old. Now he's in his mid-20s.
Mm-hmm.
So like, where was he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who raised him?
Right. Yeah.
Are there people he considers his parents? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a missing piece.
Yeah. And it's not like they have to go down, way down that path, but instead of sort of the jokiness and like, his boss, who I like, Sashir
Zameda.
Yeah, from SNL. She was kind of like a cartoon character,
Yes.
the way she's behaving. And I was like, I
Right.
don't mind what she represents and the part that she's playing in this story, but I don't love just how hard they're going into this. And I almost wish they had treated with humor. Keep the humor. That's fine. Some humor. But yeah, I kind of wanted to understand a little bit better really what Adam's deal was. Like you're saying, like, what has his life been like so far?
Yeah.
Is he good at his job? Like, and maybe that's why in the first half I was a little worried that it was just going to be sarcasm the whole time.
Yeah.
And then when it got to the fantasy part, it just became more earnest. And the humor was more organic from everything that was happening and from character and stuff. And maybe that's what I was feeling, the two sides of it.
Yeah. But I will say, I mean, it's a solid hour plus before Adam becomes He-Man. I was excited once he became He-Man, but I certainly wasn't like, when are we going to get to the fireworks factory? I was locked in.
Yeah, totally. Were there other moments you want to? Well, I alluded to it earlier, but when Man at Arms is really hard on young Adam.
Yeah.
Because Adam isn't tough enough and he's never really going to be a great warrior. And then later when Adam talks to Duncan, Man at Arms named Duncan, and he's just like, it's okay sometimes to talk about your feelings.
Yeah.
And they're having that conversation, and then Duncan actually lets it out and talks about his feelings. He's like, hey, if you ever want to talk about feelings again, we can do that. And it's like, and then they start like kind of joking, and then they start like play slapping each other. Do you remember that? Like, they're slapping each other. And then Tila comes up and is like, what are you doing? I loved that stuff. That stuff
That was very
really
funny.
Charmed me.
Well, and just to add to that, and I alluded to it earlier, I mean, I think they gave Duncan a nice journey,
Yeah.
He starts as captain of the Royal Guard, and then, he fails.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to come back from that. That gives him in addition to his own journey, I think it gives him something meaningful to play with Tila. Camila Mendes, who, I just know her as Veronica from Riverdale.
Oh, okay.
I really liked her in this. She was great. Alison Brie, we haven't talked about her.
Yes. Who I thought she was so great, and I wish there had been more, actually.
Yeah.
She just brings so much as a performer to begin with. She's such a great actress.
Yeah.
And she made Evil like really interesting to watch, just the way that she seems sort of turned on by Skeletor, but she's also continually tortured by Skeletor. And like, I just found all that really fun and interesting, and I wouldn't have minded more from her.
Well, I texted this to you. I just love that both in this movie and the old movie, Evelyn's go-to move is that as soon as it even starts looking like Skeletor's going to get his ass kicked, Evelyn's like, all right, let's go.
Right.
There's no honor among thieves.
Yeah.
She's terrific though. I love the platinum hair.
Yeah.
Good
That
stuff.
was cool.
Sorry, I'm just thinking of Alison Brie with the platinum hair. Sorry, excuse me.
That's one of my earlier memories. I remember when they were making Community and I worked on the Paramount lot, we were crossing paths and I was like, holy crap, that's Alison Brie, like total crush on her. And I loved Community. And so I was like, all right, I don't want to be like weird. I'm sure everybody always looks at her and, does. But I was kind of like trying to play it cool. But then at the last minute I looked up and we like locked eyes and she gave me the warmest smile.
Oh,
Like total, what's the character's name on Community? Annie. Just a total Annie smile. And I remember I melted. Totally melted.
you melted just like Moss Man in this movie.
Yes, that's right.
Poor Moss Man.
Turned into
he
a
got
puddle
nerfed. I remember because we see like our heroes are kind of in their little rebellion stronghold. I'm like, hey, Moss Man. And then like 10 minutes later, he's just a pile of goo.
Right. Oh, it's kind of like in the first one, right? Where they killed the interesting villain.
That's right. Sarod.
Yeah.
I think that they were. I was sort of impressed with like the range of characters that they did bring in. I was disappointed we didn't get like Merman, who I feel like is one of the essential ones, and a few of the others. But like we got enough of the icons is probably the wrong word, but the memorable characters from the toy line in the cartoon.
Well, and I like that they kept their toy-looking looks, their
Yeah.
colors, their, like Moss Man. Yeah, he was just like a guy covered in moss for some reason,
That's how it works.
Yeah.
The only thing that would have made it better is if Moss Man used the exact same digital model as Beast Man.
That would have been, yes.
Because the toy, for those of you who don't know, the toy of Moss Man it's exactly Beast Man, but he's flocked.
Right.
And those Mattel people, they didn't think we'd know. They didn't think we'd know. We knew.
We knew.
We knew Stinkor was just Merman, but painted like a skunk.
Right.
We knew Faker was just He-Man painted blue wearing Skeletor's harness. We're not stupid, Mattel.
Still made our parents buy them for us, but
That is accurate, yes. So one thing I did want to mention was King Randor, played by James Purefoy.
Mm-hmm.
King Randor dies, Brian.
Yeah.
The king is dead.
Yep.
So I mean, that's kind of a big deal in He-Man lore, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the only way to go in terms of the arc in this film.
Yeah.
But the moment when he dies and he's like, I forget what he says, right? He's like, I haven't said it or something, right? Like it was, and I wanted to pay off that moment because I thought that would be like the end of the movie would tie that up.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get that.
Yeah.
I feel like we needed one more scene with Adam and his dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
No, I'm with you on that.
Although I love the way they played it, and you kind of think like, oh, did Skeletor just zip? No, the camera pulls back. Skeletor standing right there. He's watching the whole thing, just patiently waiting, and then clocks He-Man right on the head. I don't know. Skeletor at one point, he's like, I'm not complicated. I'm evil.
I like that. Yeah, because He-Man's trying to reason with him.
He's like, I'm just evil. He's like, nobody's gonna have sympathy for me. I'm the evil guy.
Yeah, yeah.
I like this guy. He's good. I said this about Frank Langella's Skeletor. You give the man a puppy, he will kick that puppy.
Right.
That's the Skeletor, And then, of course, how can we not mention Dolph Lundgren?
I know. I was wondering if he would be in here somewhere, and he doesn't just get like he's across the room and winks or something. Like he gets a whole scene.
Well, I love that he's like, hey, I'm supposed to be there. You're in my spot.
Yeah, right. At the gym.
Very funny.
Yeah.
At the gym. And then he gives him what's funny is he gives him some advice, which is kind of like at the moment doesn't make any sense, but it ends up, actually helping He-Man in that moment when he has to rally his troops,
Right.
Or Adam. And then he says, good journey.
Good journey. He even does the hand thing. Yeah.
I like that. I would have liked Frank Langella to show up, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Right?
Maybe he's the guy who's like out of my way in the gym, bumps Dolph Lundgren.
Exactly. See?
Yeah.
Yeah. Other things that jumped out.
I thought Skeletor, like I said, I thought he got funnier and funnier, and I was laughing. They did a good job of, he just has a skull for a face, right? Like, it's not like it can emote, but somehow it's still emoted. Yeah, I thought that was pretty fun. I like the two red dots in the the eye holes. I thought that was effective.
That evokes the old toys, where kind of same thing as his eyes were red. There's a scene where he is sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
He's under a sheet like a corpse, right? Because he's and I thought that was clever, but I also like that at the foot of his bed, his boots are just sitting there, and just for some reason that made me chuckle. Skeletor takes off his boots, puts them right next to his bed, and then he puts the sheet over his head. I don't know. I just
yeah, just like us.
Exactly. Super villains. They're just like us.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun Easter eggs. Like I'm looking forward to watching the YouTube videos that I'm sure are coming, going through all of them.
Yeah.
There's plenty. I'm not going to bother going through all of them, but what it showed me is that clearly the folks making this thing had a lot of affinity for this franchise, and it showed.
Yeah. And I feel like if someone off the street were to walk in and watch this, I feel like if they allow themselves to go with it, they will be charmed. And I feel like fans are going to love this. That's my
absolutely.
feeling. I mean, you're the biggest fan
I'd like
here,
to think that I speak for all He-Man fans.
Yeah.
I am their voice. And on their behalf, yes, we love it.
Great. Well, and we get all the modern. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Just to put a pin on that. You mentioned Dungeons and Dragons. I think if you're looking for the most apt tonal analog, it's Dungeons and Dragons, the Chris Pine one from a few years ago.
Yeah. No. Totally.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
But and I was going to say, but you even get like the memes. The Four Non Blonde song is in the movie, and
I love that we get like a reference to Highlander in the beginning.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which was amusing, and then we get Princes of the Universe later in the movie.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The Queen song. There's great needle drops actually throughout this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I just thought the score was fun. I'm glad they like went for it and made it like some big rock opera sounding thing. I just felt like it fit.
Now you have not seen Flash Gordon, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
There you go. You got a movie waiting for you.
Yeah.
I'd be curious. Well, this is like at this point, longtime listeners are like, "Oh, are you going to do a commentary?" Because we've been promising one forever. We will do a commentary one day, but Brian's got to watch the movie first.
I know.
So you got that win for you. So send your hate mail to him, not me. Get him. He's the one. Him.
Dude, Orko showing up, I loved.
You know what's funny? So before the movie started, I turned to my second kid and I'm like, he's like, "Is there a post-credit scene?" I was like, "Yeah, I think there's one." And I was like, my prediction is we're going to see either Orko or She-Ra.
Yep.
And wouldn't you know, we got both.
And she actually started to turn her head, and I was like, wait, did they cast her?
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, but I don't think so, I guess.
Yeah.
She's just vague enough that they could, fill that in with someone later.
They should get Ariana Grande. Wasn't she played She-Ra in there was like that SNL sketch. Have you seen that one?
Oh, is that the one with Chris Pratt?
And Chris Pratt is He-Man and Taron Killam is Lion-O.
Yeah, they're like action figures that came to life.
Yeah, I think it's Kyle Mooney. He wishes his toys would come to life.
Yeah, that's right.
But we shall see. We'll see in the He-Man sequel that's never coming.
Oh man, I know this is such a bummer. I'm so, well, I guess you read the projections, but
it ain't looking good.
Yeah, but I want these people to feel proud of what they did because they didn't compromise. You know what I mean? Right. And like they made, in my opinion, I mean, we have our thoughts about things that maybe could have been polished up a bit or whatever, or thought out a little bit more. But like as a whole, I think what more could you ask from a He-Man movie? Like they did it. I think they should be proud of it.
They should be proud. And this is a movie that I know I personally, I have no doubt I will be watching it in years ahead. And I think kids who watch it will, it'll be something special for them.
Yeah.
And there we go.
Yeah, I'm really happy. Isn't that nice that we actually enjoyed it?
For sure that, but also the fact that we have spent the life of this podcast being like, yeah, so they're talking about a He-Man movie again. Psh,
I know.
I'll believe that when that happens. And now it's happened. And we no longer have purpose, Brian.
I know. We're just going to fade away.
We're just going to walk into the nearest body of water and just disappear.
Yeah. Or like, remember when Cartman, his hand is possessed? I think it's like by J-Lo or whatever. And then when it's finally the spirit is leaving his hand, he just goes, "Will I dream?"
That's us.
That's us. Will we dream?
Well, I don't know if we will dream, but we will be discussing Disclosure Day in our next episode.
Man, I am cautiously really, really excited.
I agree with that. Very much looking forward to that. But you'll have to tune in a week for that one for the time being. If you do watch Masters of the Universe on our recommendation, please let us know and let us know what you think. And if you haven't watched it, why the hell not?
Yeah.
If you care about us, you'll watch this movie. If you love us, you'll subscribe to our Patreon. And then after that,
right.
with whatever money you have left, you'll go watch Masters of the Universe.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want to email us, you can email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast, and message us there. As always, please go to Apple Podcasts, leave a review, leave a star rating. Every little bit helps. If you're listening to this show on YouTube, please hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment, because we do read those on the show. We also have a Patreon. Brian, I just alluded to that earlier.
Yes, we do. If you head over to patreon.com/moviefilmpodcast, hit subscribe. For only $5 a month, you'll find every commentary we've ever done and every episode moving forward absolutely ad-free. In addition to that, you'll also find bonus conversations we drop about twice a month. Just trailer talk and just headlines we've seen and things we want to talk about, entertainment related, that just didn't fit into the show. Our free feed will always be available, but this is our way of providing what we believe is the most satisfying way to enjoy the show. So no ads or interruptions butting into the middle of the conversation. Plus, your subscription goes a long way in helping to support us and helping to sustain producing the show. So if you're interested and able, please head over to patreon.com/moviefilmpodcast and subscribe. We'd be very grateful.
And hey, if you're looking for me online, you can find me on social media at Zaki's Corner. That's ZAKIS Corner. You can also find my reviews at the San Francisco Chronicle, including my review of Masters of the Universe, also Spider Noir from last week. You can also read my reviews at The Wrap, including my thoughts on Jack Ryan, Ghost War, which I talked about also in our last episode. All right, you, Brian, what do you got going on?
You can find episodes I've written of Puppy Dog Pals and Young Jedi Adventures streaming on Disney+.
There we go. On behalf of my partner, Brian Hall, my name is Zaki Hassan. This has been Movie Film 344. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Welcome, friends.